Hello everyone and welcome back to A Couple Books. See, look, my ears flop. Woo! Anyways, today we're doing the final and last top 5 video of 2020. Even though it is 2021, I wanted to wrap up the year 2020 with this top 5 series. This is going to be the last video of top 5s I do. This is also going to be kind of a combination video. It's going to be top 5 LitRPG / sci-fi, because I feel like sci-fi and LitRPG are kind of more related than not. So we're going to be combining this list. It's going to be still top 5, but it's going to be a top 5 from both genres, so you can expect both genres on this list. And as per usual, the rules are still the rules, and that means that there's going to be one author mentioned. So I'm trying not to repeat authors, even though there might be repeat authors on this one from other videos. I'm going to try not to repeat authors. In addition to that, I'm going to try and not repeat books, even though I do think there's also a repeat on this list. So I've already broken 2 of my rules, but each book is also going to, of course, be from 1 per series, so I won't be repeating series in this one. And I think those are all the rules. Yeah, an author can only appear once on this list, and no doubling up on terms of series, which those rules also kind of also overlap too. But it's fine. It's fine. We're all here. It's a good time. Guys, it's a good time, people, okay? It's a good time. Didn't you hear? Anyways, let's get into the video, okay? So this is going to be the top 5 sci-fi / LitRPG books that I read in the year 2020. Woo! So the first book on this list, and this is going to also be in no particular order, that is going to be Wayward Pines by Blake Crouch. This is a series, but the first book is called Pines. This is basically about a Secret Service agent named Ethan. Ethan is looking for his missing partner, and he goes to this small town called Wayward Pines, which is located in Idaho. And he goes to this small town to seek out 2 missing Secret Service agents, and he is tasked with going out and finding them. He goes to the town, and basically he gets in a huge, massive accident, a car wreck, and he ends up in the hospital. He wakes up, his phone's gone, his wallet's gone, and he knows why he's there, but there's basically something off about the town, nothing's really right. For example, this might be a tad bit of a spoiler, but it happens in the very beginning of the book. So just, it's not that much of a spoiler, but some people might consider it. But basically, he goes in and he basically, after he leaves the hospital, he finds a dead body, and he tries to go and report it, and then they go back to see the dead body that he found, and it's gone. So it's there's something off about this town. There's something not right that's going on. He doesn't know what's up. He doesn't know what's going on. He can't find his 2 Secret Service agents. It's a big mystery, but it's also really good. So I highly recommend anyone who's interested in small town weird vibes, pick up this book ASAP. Alright, that's going to be the first book on this list. The second book on this list is going to be A Dragon's Revenge by Connor Kostick. I already did a full review about this last week, so be sure to check that out. But for those who don't know, this is a book that is a lit RPG novel, meaning that it is a literature role-playing game. I do a whole introduction into what this means and stuff like that. If you guys don't already know, check out that video for that as well. But basically in this one, we are introduced to our main character. Our main character is one of the best players at this game called Epic. Epic is, if I had to equate it to something similar in our world, like World of Warcraft, Leagues of Legends, something along those lines, a massive MMORPG, and he's really good at it, and he is probably one of the best players there are, and he's a raid leader, meaning that he usually leads hundreds of players in to fight these big bads in these video games. And he is actually so good at the game that he is recruited by the company that created Epic to help them solve a little tiny bit of a problem that is in their Epic 2 game. And in this game, basically, there is a similar idea. It's a similar world, medieval role-playing game with dragons and bad guys, all dark elves, all that kind of stuff. However, in this game, in order to make it more epic, they decided to install a AI system for some of the big bads in this game, meaning that the big bosses that are found throughout the game now have artificial intelligence, making them smarter, meaning that they're harder to beat, and meaning that they're tougher bosses in general, basically making the game more thrilling and harder for the players to complete. In addition to that being said, they basically also had this game spread out on multiple servers so that they would be able to provide a faster, less laggy experience to its players. However, by doing this, they also created a slight problem because the AI in the game decided to basically go rogue and basically start locking out players from this game by going ahead and taking over areas where players would typically spawn in, so that basically you can no longer spawn into the game and therefore no one can actually play the game. Now, this is bad news bears. So Epic, in order to basically make it in time for their launch in like a month or two, they recruit our main character to come in, and him and a few other 100 players to come in and try and beat the bosses in the game in order to basically wipe them out so that they can reclaim control over the game and have it ready for release. It's a super fun book. It's got some like corporate stuff going on in it, some gaming in it. It's got action, not just like physical like battle action, but it also has like verbal like boardroom action going on. There's a lot of fun stuff in this book. I would highly recommend people check it out. It's a really fun read. The next book I have for you guys is going to be Gamers by Cambry Varner. This is going to be also a LitRPG book. This one follows two stepsisters. One is not so into like online MMORPGs. One is super into online MMORPGs, and basically they convince each other that they're going to play this game together, which is a virtual MMORPG, like one that's on a computer, and they get together and they decide to go ahead into it, and unfortunately they end up waking up actually in the game. So something happened and now they're actually in the game. So these two stepsisters are now the characters that they created, and where they would originally be playing this on a computer screen, they are literally living the experience themselves. They don't know what happened, they don't know what's going on, but they do know that it'd probably be a bad idea to die. So what do? They're both newbie characters. They don't have any special abilities, they don't have any powers, and they have to survive this world because they don't know what the consequences are yet. This is a book focused on strategy, how to be the best player possible in these types of situations. Not that we'd ever find ourselves in one of these situations, but in the sense that they're playing the game how like we would actually try and play it. Instead of either we're crying on the floor or we're actually trying to strategize how to live. You can't just go in screaming and slashing and hoping to survive because you can respawn later. We don't know what the consequences are. So these girls have to deal with the various quest lines. Also, the world has become much more realistic, such as innkeepers are now racist against half-elves. All that kind of stuff is going on. It was a great book. I thought it had great character development. It was fantastic. It was a really fun LitRPG book because it wasn't just about the game, but it was also about the characters themselves. With that being said, let's move into the next one. So the next book I have for you guys is going to be Off to Be a Wizard by Scott Meyer. This is a sci-fi, quasi-sci-fi game, book. I really enjoyed it. Basically, it's about this guy named Martin. Martin is a computer programmer, I do believe. Anyways, he ends up finding at his job this document that seems to be like representative of the real world, like, but it's got like all these stats and stuff in it. And basically, long story short, he opens up his file in it and he finds all these stats in it, and he basically realizes that this is like a program for the real world. And what do I mean by that? I mean, like, if he puts in there that he weighs 160 pounds, he will now go from whatever number he weighed to 160 pounds. If he puts in there he's 6'1", he will be 6'1". So basically, this is like literally like a matrix kind of thing. Like, it's complete, utter like code for the world. And he finds this and he basically uses it, and this causes him to basically get in trouble with the law. So he decides to flee into a time period where he can pose as a wizard using this document. So he travels back to medieval times, and he ends up meeting up with a whole bunch of other guys who are just like him. These like computer people who found a document, they got in trouble with the law, and now they're all back in medieval times posing as wizards, when in actuality they're just computer geeks who basically know how to use this code to make it appear as if they have magical abilities. It is a very interesting book. The premise is very comedic. The tone is very comedic. It is not at all a serious novel, but it was really fun to read. I read it, I listened to it on Audible. It was a great read. I would highly recommend people check it out. It was one of my favorite audiobooks of the year. It was such a joy. I highly recommend anyone who's into like gaming or anyone who's into like weird comedic sci-fi, pick this book up. It's a fun read. It's not serious. It's not the greatest book in the world, but it's fun. It's just pure and epic joy, and I really enjoyed it. And then this leads us to number 5, our last book for this list, and this is also going to be the last video for the top 5. So thank you guys so much for sticking through with me to the end of this series. This top 5 series was a lot of fun to make, and I really enjoyed making it, and it'll be super fun to look back on it in a year and see where we're at, and see also what books of these make it onto like my top 10 like series of all time lists. So I'm super looking forward to it, to sharing that with you guys in the future, and I'm super looking forward to looking back on this with you guys. But before we say goodbye, let's talk about our last book, and that is going to be Nine Toes by Tim Andrews. This is going to be a LitRPG book as well. This LitRPG book is basically following Nine Toes. Nine Toes is a thrown away character. What do I mean by that? I mean that in the real world, our world, someone, whenever they play a tabletop role-playing game, they have to create a character. And basically that means you need to take dice, you need to roll them, and you need to basically give this guy stats, and then this is who you play as in the game, right? Does that make sense for everyone? Fine. So what happens when you roll a character and you decide you don't want to play with this character? They go into the game master's folder, the guy who's running the game, and you forget about it, right? Well, it's kind of weird because in this book we're following a guy named Nine Toes who is one of those thrown away character sheets. He's just a character who dies at the hands of adventurers, i.e. us, the people playing the game, playing the tabletop game, and he reawakens as Nine Toes, who is now an adventurer himself. But he's got full autonomy. He is himself still. He's not someone playing the game from our world. He is someone from this universe who's playing this game, but now has the abilities of someone like us. And he has the same kind of game mechanics as that. And we basically follow him on this journey of self-discovery because he's no longer just a typical hobgoblin that he used to be. He is now an adventurer hobgoblin who's also a warlock, and he has to learn about his new abilities and what this means for him. Pretty character-centric story where you learn a lot about Nine Toes as he goes on. But the cream of the crop in this book is Libby, who is his partner, I would say, his partner in crime. Libby's a squirrel. Libby is absolutely fantastic. Libby, or as I would like to call her, the Liberator Cheese, is absolutely the most fantastic character and is hilarious. This is a really fun lit RPG book for those who are D&D fans, those who like to play tabletop RPGs. I think you would have a joy with this book. It's super fun. I do a full review of this one of Gamers Together in a video a few weeks ago, which you will hopefully find that down below. I recommend checking it out. It was a lot of fun to read, and Nine Toes was a great character, and Libby was legit like my favorite squirrel of all time. Those are my top 5 books of the year 2020 for sci-fi / lit RPG. I hope you guys enjoyed this list, and be sure to comment down below what are your thoughts. Do you guys like my list? Did you guys disagree? Is there a book I'm missing? Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Don't be shy. And while you're down there, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. So with that, I will be saying goodbye. Bye everyone.